Welcome back everybody, it's OG here and we have a new mission from the Kerbals. That's right, we have to recreate the Apollo mission and they've given us a few choices. And I'm choosing Apollo 11 because it's stupid to go to Juno because Apollo was a moon mission. So we're going to go to the moon and land a crew and return the crew. That's the mission. This is the beautiful rocket which I built. Alrighty then, we have a good looking rocket, almost ready to go, untested, but no excuse why we can't go to the moon. Let's test that rocket, shall we? Well, there's a whole lot of nothing happening. What now, OG? Oh, we didn't check our staging again. Never fear, everything is fine, rocket is perfect. Just a little staging issue. Set it to go up. It's a bit of a wobbly rocket, but it's going up, so all is good. All was good. All is very bad. All is terrible. We're going for the VAB. Oh boy. I hope you guys have paid your life insurance premiums. Okay. That didn't work well. Something is wrong. Let's check what went wrong. Well, that looks good, except for one little thing. The nav ball is the wrong color. It is the color of the ground. As you can see, when the rocket is tilted over, that ground color changes to sky color. And even though it's set up, it's going down because it thinks it's going up. And that happened because I flipped the lander over during the build. Let's see what happens now. Part 1. The Good. Control from here, set to the main pod, and the nav ball changes to sky, and we are ready to go. This should work. Hold your little green thumbs. Beautiful textbook takeoff. Well, launch, not takeoff. And we are soaring into the sky, and everyone is happy. Maybe not Jeb so much because he's upside down. It's his fault that rocket flew into the ground. Very wobbly rocket, but it's not falling over, and that's the important part. So we make it to the sky and we separate the boosters. Everything looking slightly explosive. No harm, no foul. Nominal. Carry on. You can see this this rocket is wobbling around a bit. And when that happens, you can go to the gimbal setting, even though you should do this when you build a rocket, but you can do it on the fly. You just turn the gimbling setting down to something like 20%, 25%. I turned it down to 30 here. And that solved the problem. Look at the rocket now. Beautiful and smooth. No more rocket wiggles. It also helps that we're out of the atmosphere. Everything looking good. Apollo 11 is a go. I just never tire of these KSP2 visuals. They're so beautiful. I can't stop looking at them. Sorry if I keep sharing them. I have to share them. They make my heart rejoice. So I had no shortage of fuel on the first stage, which was good. And what I generally do is, as long as there's fuel in the stage, I keep it around. And I was checking there to make sure that none of my other stages had been robbed of fuel. But it looks like they have sorted that out now completely. And the stages do not rob one another of fuel. The only time you get that problem now is with the docking ports. Make sure you turn off crossfeed on the docking ports, because they can still rob one another. But the decouplers and the stage or the stack separators, they don't. So that's good. More visuals looking at the moon. And we're going to do our burn for the moon. And this was the easiest intercept I've had so far in KSP2. In fact, it ended in a collision initially, which is what I like. That's like ideal. From a collision, it's only one minor adjustment to get a very, very tiny periapsis, which is what you want. Nice and efficient. And that saw me arriving at the moon. Not too long after that, thanks to the magic of time warp. Magic! Circularized around the moon. And take a look at my periapsis. Now 15,620. And dropping. Fast. I turn the RCS off, but the periapsis keeps dropping. And there's no atmosphere on the moon, so that's not normal. And I'm cutting ahead now a bit and jumping around, and you'll see that the periapsis continues to drop, which is disturbing, because obviously if it drops far enough, you collide with the moon. It is generally accepted that colliding with the moon is a bad outcome. Periapsis now 14,000 and still dropping. So I experimented with the time warp a bit, and I noticed that while time warping, the periapsis didn't drop. So any developers watching this? Hello? Yes, you, I can see you watching. You have a periapsis problem. Please put that in the next patch. We don't want to collide with the moon, developers. That kills Kerbals. Do you want Kerbal deaths on your consciences? Developers, come, sort that out. Thank you, thank you. So I time warp to periapsis, because time warp keeps me from dropping. And then what did I do then? Yeah, I'm not supposed to be at periapsis. I'm supposed to be at apoapsis to raise the periapsis. Okay, my bad. Time warp to apoapsis. And then I did a prograde burn to raise the periapsis. I'm not too perturbed if it keeps dropping. The idea was just to have enough space in which to drop. So I raised it to, you can see there, 23,701. Just to give me a safety net. Then I brought my rocket around to prepare for the landing, and I brought it around, and by around I mean around the moon, so that I was in the light, because I'm tired of always operating in darkness. I don't know why I always end up in the darkness. You will, however, notice that my periapsis problem has stopped, so maybe it is related to altitude somehow. Perhaps if you passed, let's say, arbitrary figure 20,000 meters, it doesn't happen. Anyway, enough of that. Let's put a Kerbal on the moon. Goodbye first stage. It was almost empty, so I dumped it. Just burn a little bit to get away from it. And now we have the second stage, ready to put a Kerbal on the moon. Now this design is Apollo-esque in nature. So it has a little lander on the front. A little lander that's facing the wrong way. And which has a nose cone on it. I would have strutted it on there to make it stronger, but I didn't trust the struts with docking ports. I don't know if the struts are going to let go if I undo the docking ports, and I wasn't willing to risk it. So finally I let the nose cone go. Something I should have done back in Kerbin orbit. So a little bit of extra weight carried all the way to the moon. No harm, no foul, still plenty of fuel left, the entire second stage. And the second stage is actually 2 stages. I definitely wanted to have enough fuel to get home, so there are 2 separate rocket motors there, 2 separate fuel tanks. Lots and lots of juice with which to get home. Jeb decoupled in his little lander, and there's only space for 1 in there, so unfortunately I couldn't make it very Apollo-esque and send 2 down to the surface. Then I almost did something very silly. Yeah, we turned the lander the wrong way. And considering that already cost the rocket initially, in testing, in simulated testing, that was not real. Didn't really happen. Nobody died. But I sorted it out, and before any disaster happened, I got the lander aiming the right way, retrograde, and started the burn towards the lunar surface. Once I remembered to turn the engine on. Jeb, you are supposed to remind me of these things.
Sorry.
You better be. Okay, now that periapsis is coming down. The next task is to pick a landing point. And my orbit was not ideal because it kind of crossed over a rocky area. But I had a small part of a lunar sea on which I could land. And I chose to land at the very edge, knowing that when I would burn later, that impact point would come towards the lander and I'd have some space to play with. But I wanted to put it down on the dark sea because that is generally flatter. And flatter means less chance of your lander falling over. And you shall see how important that is when the lander touches down. Yes, I said when. I said when. Jeb, I said, please fasten your seatbelt. What did you do? You not only got up out of your seat, you climbed outside the lander. That is very irresponsible, Jeb. I mean, you are the mission commander. Come on. Yes, I know you can't set an example when there's no one around to see you, but they're going to see the footage afterwards. You must behave yourself, Jeb. A little bit of tumbling. Nothing critical. Nothing's too scary. And this lander is also properly Apollo-esque. It has a bottom bit with legs that can be left behind to save weight. And then it has a second little engine hidden a bit higher up. I didn't want to have the situation where the lander runs out of fuel. I actually thought I'd put a Methalox tank on it. Sorry, not Methalox, a monopropellant tank on it. But it turned out it was another fuel tank. So there was a lot of fuel and very little monopropellant. But that's okay. Touchdown! The Kerbin Eagle has landed. And we are on the moon. Apollo 11 is successful. If we can get the moonwalk done. Jeb, now you can get out of your seat and take a look around. Come, undo the seatbelt. Ooh, Jeb, you ate too many snacks. You tilting the lander over. And now you see why flat ground is so important. Thankfully, we turn the spring strength up and things get a little better. Note I turn it up slowly. If you do those things too fast, it can sometimes catapult you the other way, and then the lander would fall over. But this one, thankfully, stayed upright, even if it has a leg or two in the air. Well done, Jeb. Nice flying. Come on, you know what to do. What do we do when we land on a new world? No, not jump around. What's our job? Flag plant. That's right. You have to fly the company flag high, Jeb. What you going to call this one? One medium-sized leap. Oh boy. You can't fit leap in there. You've run out of space, haven't you? You can't just put the P on the next line by itself. No, a full stop doesn't help. It still looks stupid. Fix it. One medium-sized leap. For Kerbal kind. Oh, that's nice. That's a lovely sentiment, Jeb. Thank you for sharing that with us. Did you just... Oh, Jeb. You just time warped several days into the future, didn't you? We're on day 34 now. Well done. Are you going to finish? No, okay, you've just named the site Jeb Made. Well done. Idiot. Plant the flag. There we go. Proud of you, Jeb. Well done. Yes, you are grinning like an idiot. Stop the photo opportunities now. You're not a politician. You don't just stand there. What are you going to do next? Kiss a baby? Come. Go get some samples or something. Now you can jump around. Meanwhile, back in space. And then Jeb ran around like an idiot, and he played with the rocks, and he played with the jetpack, and he did all the things that one would do on the lunar surface. Yes, you're hiding in the rock. We can see you. We remember that one from the Lathe mission. And now I'm on Lathe. I am walking on the surface of the land on Lathe. I have swum on Lathe. I have landed safely on Lathe. I have seen the hovering rock of Lathe. Awesome. Oh dear. Well, that's just embarrassing. Yes, yes, very funny. Okay, enough monkeying around now. Get back to the lander. Let's go. We have achieved the main part of the mission. Now all we need to do is get home safely. Do you think you can do that for us? Or is that too much to ask, Jeb? Don't tilt it over, you and your fat butt. That's it, inside. And we still have fuel to spare. Yep. Lots of lovely, lovely methalox. So we're not going to waste that. We'll take that with. You never know when you might need extra fuel. And you'll see later just how important this is. That was a good decision. The thing now is to time the departure. And you need to time it so that you can intercept the mothership as it comes past. And that's what Jeb has been doing, analyzing its orbit. And now he's taking off at what he hopes is the right time. He'll get a little bit of altitude, and then he will turn east and try to meet the mothership. Okay, Jeb, focus. We have to get this right. You can do it. Fuel has run out in the lower stage of the lander, so we eject it along with the legs. And we burn on the upper engine. Still lots of fuel, nothing to worry about. I need to get to an altitude of approximately 25,000 meters and then circularize Timing is looking good. The two ships are close to each other. Oh, part 2. The bad. Well, with a title like that, you know that things are about to take a turn for the worse. But hey, this is KSP 2. What do you expect? The challenge now is to dock. And, well, rendezvous and then dock. And the best way to do that is to slowly close on the other ship like I'm doing now. Very small difference in orbit. Get the ships very close together and with a very small speed difference. And that makes the rendezvous easier, because then you don't have any last minute big speed change, and the ships can close each other nice and slowly, and you have an easy docking maneuver. I'm trying to get the ships as close as possible with the slowest speed difference possible. And there's my intercept distance, about 700 meters and dropping, with a speed differential of just over 20 meters per second, which is fine. Were this KSP1, that would be ideal. Anything within about 5 kilometers is quite doable, as long as you have the tools at your disposal. And the tools, I mean, you need some sort of docking indicator, some sort of docking mode. And this is where things become problematic. Because although I have a great intercept, where is the other ship? I can't even see my own ship properly. There is no docking indicator. I can really only see my ship when the little light in the window comes on, when I catch it from the right angle. And I can't see my target. How can I dock like this? There should be a little target indicator flying there through the night, the inky black sky with the other ship on it, and it should indicate things like the distance to that target and our speed differential. And it should appear on the nav ball nice and clearly, so that I can use my thrusters to center my spacecraft and to close the other ship slowly and until we can dock. But there's nothing like that. And so I was reduced to trying to dock using the map mode. And yeah, that's not great. As you saw on that first intercept, I was docking with a miss distance of about 600 meters, and I still couldn't see the other ship. So my only hope then was maybe to try it on the daylight side of the moon, and then I might have more visual cues. But it was evident that this was not going to be easy. Sadly, we are just lacking those RV and docking tools now. And as I showed in the RV and docking mission that I did a while back, one of my early missions, it's not easy to do. Yeah, it took me half an hour of trying. And eventually, I realized it wasn't going to happen. So I came up with a new plan. Remember all that extra fuel? Well, what if I could fly the two spaceships home individually? Jeb goes back in his little lander, and Val and Bob go back in the mothership. Now, Jeb's lander isn't made for planetfall, it's not designed for it, but it still has fuel left. Maybe it can bleed off speed in the atmosphere and do a little retro burn just before hitting the surface. So I sent Jeb on ahead. I decided I'd send him in first to see if he could do it. Part 3. The Ugly. Well, as luck would have it, the mothership arrived first. Yeah, she was on a different trajectory, obviously. Didn't want her to arrive first. I wanted to see if Jeb could do it. Because if he couldn't, then I could reload, a little quick load, and then try and dock with the mothership again, maybe around Kerbin or something like that. But I didn't have that luxury because Jeb was still out there in space, and the mothership had reached Kerbin. Whatever, we work with what we've got. Time to bring the mothership down. Val and Bob are coming home, and then we'll see what we can do about Jeb afterwards. They've also still got a huge amount of fuel on board, because they've also got a two-stage stage. So they could afford nice long retro burns to bleed off speed. Yeah, should be nice and easy. Not too worried about this one at all. Well, we ran out of fuel and then ejected the lower part of the second stage. Yeah, you could see this as the third stage. I'm just seeing it as the upper part of the second stage. Okay, deal with it. Lots and lots of fuel, a little bit too much speed. This thing wants to flip around, but luckily all the little RCS thrusters are keeping it facing the right way. Now it's just a question of slowing down enough. Then I will eject the capsule and parachute down to the surface. I would like to have been over the ocean. We're not too bad. The parachutes should bring us in slow enough. I have one drogue chute and two main chutes. Rotating to line up. We are at subsonic speeds. Time to use the parachutes. Let's eject the capsule. What? Where's my decoupler? I don't have a decoupler. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. Burn. Burn, burn, guys. Burn. We forgot the decoupler. Oh. Sorry. My bad. Meanwhile, back in space, we've got to bring Jeb down. Okay, Jeb. This is mission control. Yes. Val and Bob made it to the surface. Condition? Sorry, you're breaking up? You want to know how they... What? Sorry, you're breaking up. We can talk about them later. Let's get you home now, Jeb. Nice periapsis burn. Okay, Jeb, don't go down on the dark side of the planet there. I'd like you in the sun, please. I'm very tired of landing things in the dark. There we go. That's it. Come down here somewhere. Thank you. Jeb, you've spent a lot of your fuel. We kind of needed that fuel, dude. You were supposed to do aero braking, not rocket braking. Yes, the moonrise is very pretty. It's looking good. He's bleeding speed off nicely. Lovely unaerodynamic lander. But we don't have a lot of fuel left. And this one doesn't have parachutes. And I don't even have the landing legs left for a spongy landing. So we're hoping for the best. Going to try and bleed off some speed. And hopefully we'll just drift down not too fast. And then Jeb can kind of be sheltered by the lander. I don't know. What's the maximum impact speed of a lander? Probably less than that 100 meters a second we're doing. And we're accelerating. Yeah, okay, good idea. Jump out. And then you can be like Bill when he dived out of the ocean. And maybe you'll survive that way. Yes, you use your jetpack to slow down. You just let go of the land. Let go of the lander. It's doing 180 meters a second. You don't want to really be attached to it. How are you now doing 200 and it was doing 180 and it's going faster than... That doesn't make sense. That is not how physics works. Okay, burn that jetpack. Burn it. Burn it. Come on, Jeb. You can do this. You'll be fine, man. Alright, Jeb. Looking good. A little bit faster than I'd like, but you should be okay. Alright. Sorry about that. Okay. But what was this mission about? Recreating Apollo. What did they say? Go to the moon. We went to the moon. Land on the moon. We landed on the moon. Return to Kerbin and land the Kerbals. We did that. I returned the Kerbals to Kerbin. Mission accomplished. Thank you for joining me. It was great to have you here again. I hope to see you soon. OG out.